Members of our centralized break-in enter unit have just wrapped up about a 3-month operation targeting some break-in enters that occurred within the city of Calgary, and we've recovered approximately $1.3 million in stolen property after executing several search warrants within the city of Calgary and in the surrounding communities outside the city.
Some of the things that were taken?
The target or the investigation originated from the theft of some high-end Mastercraft boats that occurred here in Calgary. There was numerous stolen vehicles that were taken through this operation that had been taken from dealerships, and then everything all the way down to property from garage and trailer break-and enters, commercial break-and enters. So there was a variety of different types of property recovered at the end of the day.
In terms of just like the high-end boat and some of the other items that aren't necessarily vehicles, can you anticipate what the suspects would have used them for at the end? Or they're going to sell them on Kijiji or something?
Yeah, we believe that they were probably moving these higher ticket items outside of the city and outside of the province to get rid of them and sell them. In many cases, the registration in different provinces are outside. It's harder for us to track that way, so I think they were probably trying to move them outside of the city.
So $1.3 million worth of stuff, that's quite substantial. How does this compare to other busts? I feel like this is it's one of the largest.
This is a big one. We've had other large ones in the past, but operations like this, they do take up a lot of resources and time, and a lot of investigators have to be dedicated towards this with a concentrated effort on the offenders and what's happening. And then when we do recover it, it is a significant recovery.
What is the relationship between the 4 people that were charged?
We believe they all knew each other and were working together at different times. So in some cases, we had people that were committing the original offenses, and then others located at the properties were assisting in storing the property and keeping it for some time.
Awesome. And did they have a criminal history, those 4 people that were charged?
A few of them did have a significant criminal history and were known to us, yes.
How was he stealing from dealers, like exactly? Was they breaking in at night?
In some of these instances, what they were doing was they had access to the lock boxes. They'd broken into the dealerships where the keys are kept for the vehicles, and then able to come back and locate the vehicle and take them right off the lots.
So there was definitely an element of organization to this. This wasn't just a drive-by or anything.
Correct.
And they were stored all around, like the boats. All these are big, huge things, so you can't just leave them in the backyard.
Yeah, we had 3 search warrants outside of the city limits on rural properties that we executed. One within the city that we executed. One of the boats was recovered. We think it was probably abandoned, or they somehow got away from them in one of the lakes outside the city.
So, do you know how far back this stuff was stolen?
Our investigation into these items started in August, when a lot of these offenses occurred. Some of the stuff that we recovered in the properties had been taken in around the summertime that month, so within this last summer.
So what happens to, after the investigation is done with all the property? Does it get returned to the rightful owners? I'm sure they're all missing there.
Yeah, so far to this point, we've identified at least 33 victims that we have returned that property to, and we're making every effort we can to identify the property and have it returned.
In terms of any lessons learned from this, I know it's kind of difficult to get into the minds of suspects that are working in this kind of organization, but anything that civilians can do to try to prevent their property from getting stolen in a sense?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is to keep things locked up. We still have incidents where garage doors are unlocked or left open, which gives people easy access, and making sure items are out of sight. If there's a way that somebody can see something and it gives them that opportunity to go after that stuff, they're going to go after it. We live in a big city now, and people are taking every opportunity they can, so making sure things are secured. In these instances, we believe a lot of these items were targeted specifically. We've dealt with some of the business and talked with them about just securing some of their items and keeping them out of sight, out of access to the general public.
What types of vehicles were they stealing, were they targeting specific vehicles or high-end vehicles?
They were all sorts of different vehicles being targeted. A lot of pickup trucks, which were then in turn used for to take the boats. So in those cases, I think they were specifically looking for a certain type of vehicle. But across the board, they've taken all sorts of different types.
Do you notice a spike in thefts like this in, say, like the last 6 months? You said the investigation is the last 3 months, and obviously tying into the winter months now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice like an uprise, perhaps?
I haven't noticed an uprise. We've been very steady with the same type of offenses. During this operation, we worked very closely with our auto theft response team and had a concentrated effort. Because there was a large stolen vehicle component to this file, they worked well together, but we've seen a large spike over the last few years in the stolen autos, but I think that's been consistent as of late.
Often you're finding this stuff just outside Calgary, right? Often you're finding it on acreages and that kind of stuff.
Correct. Sorry, what was the question?
You're often finding the stolen material actually on acreages just outside Calgary, right? They're often
Yeah, I think a big part of it is that a large amount of this property, there is a large amount of this property, so it's harder to store within the city. Right outside, we've got a lot of space, so it makes it easier in that sense.
So you don't know their final destination, you figure they were gonna leave the city, leave the province?
That end, we're still following up to see what the end result could have been. In some cases, they're turning it around for a quick profit within the city, and that's just a storage location. We're looking into that as well.
So you don't know if there's ties outside of this province or the country?
Not at this point, no.
Is there any information that people should look out for so they don't buy stolen merchandise? Do you think that some of the stuff that people buy, they don't realize that it's been stolen?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a lot of times people have to trust their instincts here. If a deal looks too good to be true, it likely is. Often where you go to meet people when you're buying stuff online through websites such as Kijiji or other places. If somebody wants to meet in an odd location out in the public as opposed to their residence, that should be setting off some alarm bells that this doesn't seem right. And in those cases, it likely isn't.
Are boats harder to track than cars?
They do have they have serial numbers unique to themselves and identifying features. It's not something that we normally see goes missing. They're big ticket items and they're large, so they're hard to transport without being noticed. But they don't have the license plates like maybe the trailers do, but oftentimes if they're in the water, they're harder to see, or we don't come across them as often.